Remember the days when I had my producers here.
Now you're all on your own.
What was that? Is that the Q-tip?
Yeah, that probably didn't sound good on microphone.
It's probably going to be great for the microphone, dude. Yep. Like we were saying, man, I was just thinking, like, I was going to be like, hey, do you think that, like, hip-hop, like, in the weed community is like that, is like the binding force? Is hip-hop like weed where it brings a lot of people together? Because I was also thinking, like, you know, so many like stoners and like Grateful, you could like say the Grateful Dead, like people talk about Sour Diesel and how is like that was like so much stories from like certain strains that came at Grateful Dead concerts. Like I wonder about like the hip hop shows and the hip hop culture with weed, because it does seem like it's like on the same wavelength. Or do you think that hip hop is like weed where it brings a lot of different types of people together? Because I had that result when I lived out in Oakland, when I moved out there after high school. And like I was like embraced in like different environments I didn't grow up in, just because, you know, I was a big fan of hip hop growing up, and I could like, you know, connect with different types of people. Like, do you think that is like weed, or is it kind of like one in itself?
So I think it's very much like weed in that aspect. I think they are two sort of different entities that sort of influence each other. So like there's the story of Snoop Dogg inventing the term chronic.
So tell me about that. I don't know about that. I've never heard that.
So I was
listening to The Chronic yesterday, and I was thinking about why that album's called that. And I was like, I wonder if he called it The Chronic because he's like, my album's like The Chronic. This is fucking dope. This is dank. You know what I mean?
He was like at a party or a studio or whatever. And there was
Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was this white dude, unnamed,
mm-hmm.
brought the first hydroponic weed that they had ever seen. And Snoop Dogg didn't
Is that like indoor growing weed or hydroponic? Probably just indoors.
No, indoor hydro.
Okay.
Like
so
all water.
Okay.
And Snoop didn't hear it correctly. So he was, what's that? Chronic? Hydrochronic?
Really?
Yeah.
So that's why Chronic is...
Yeah, that's where it came from.
I was listening to that album yesterday, man, and it's funny. You know what's fucked up is like something happened with my CD where like I can't listen to Fuck with Dre Day.
Oh, dang.
Like if you're going through CDs, which I don't like to do, that's why I still listen to CDs. It's like I listen to it from top to bottom. I still listen to the skits.
Yeah.
And but if you're skipping through songs, it's like not having Fuck with Dre Day is a bummer. Because I'm like, Let Me Ride, Nothing But a G Thing. I like Rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and you know, also like what's that one, like Little Ghetto Boys? Like I forgot how like, you know, like Little Ghetto Boys in the ghetto streets.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that like there is like a lot. There is like something to that like soulful from that album, and it's Dr. Dre, so there's gonna be like some soul from it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that where I was like, I wonder if they're like, this album's The Chronic. Like if you're like, this is like. But that's probably around the same time that they even figured out what that name is, what that term.
Yeah, like
right?
Late 90s or whatever.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
I think it was like 92.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to NWA's 800, it was like 100 Miles and Running. You ever listen to that album?
I don't remember it.
So it's like right before, oh, sweet. Sorry, I just got a really cool text for sales in New York.
Nice.
Breakfast Connections blunts in New York City dispensaries near you. Quick ad. That was the first time on this pod I was able to do that mid-pod.
Easy.
That's what's up, dude. And I got a member on, the first like member on the fucking show. That's pretty sweet, dude. We're in this together, brothers and sisters and friends. We sell weed together. But half kidding on that. That was something that we were saying where it's like, we tried to make this show as like an end consumer show, right? Like, because there's so much in the weed game, like, you know, so many people are getting over on people, right? They're like trying to like make a buck, which I get. It's like we come from a street mentality, so it's like you got to feed your family. I get it, but like, I don't know, man. I just don't like. There's so much greed, and maybe it's because illegal industry has gone so long, people who become successful, they think it's from that. They're like, I had a little edge.
Yeah.
And that's like why people almost gatekeep. Like they'll gatekeep genetics, gatekeep strains. They're like, oh, I'm not going to tell you where I get my weed because I want to be the guy with the best weed.
Yeah, right.
You ever get that with music too? Because I was just joking with Josh downstairs earlier where like there's movies or music that I won't get into unless I find it myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really think that happens too much. Only because if somebody, do you mean like if I have certain artists I listen to, but I don't want to like popularize that music?
No, but that's another point that we could bring up after this. My point was that you want to show me what you just heard because you want to show your friends something new that you know they haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the chain reaction to something becoming popular, right? And that's why they encourage people, if you're making anything, you know, like all of us in the weed game are trying to create brands and music, like, you know, you're always trying to like do something. It's like sometimes it just needs to be good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think with like art is like you just need to be good, right? And then get lucky.
Yeah.
And I know that's blunt.
Most of it is luck. I would say if you're going into any art world looking to make money, you're going to fail very quickly.
It's a good point. Keep going on that because that's an interesting point. I want you to keep like kind of elaborating on that.
So like when I came up late 2000s, I was living in Mass. I was friends with a rapper called Hazardous Waste. Shout out H-Dub. And I was kind of like tagging along with him when he was doing shows and stuff and just seeing like how he puts things together, and like because he was the only person that I knew was like doing music for a living. But like I saw even him doing music for a living, he had his own label. He had like 6 artists on his label pressing out vinyls and shit.
In like 08?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Like 08.
That's like the tier end of
2010-ish.
making money off physicals.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was really pushing it.
That's sick.
But like even still, he had a part-time job bussing tables. You know?
Okay.
And it was...
So he wasn't living off it. He was making money off it for it to be a business.
Yeah.
Which because sometimes I feel like you can't, like, that's not even real. It's like a pipe dream of thinking that you could start your own business and, like, you know, that's all it is.
So there are some people who did that plan and then were able to quit their part-time and go all in. But even still, it's like you're working all the time, and I there's so much more to me than music, you know?
Okay.
So I didn't want to kind of pigeonhole myself or get in a position where I have to force myself to produce something, you know? When I do it now, I just write when it comes to me. You know what I'm saying?
How old are you?
I'm 35.
You're smart, dude. No, for real, because, like, we were talking downstairs about don't worry about it. We were talking downstairs about like the club and getting more members in here and like my marketing strategy, and you could see that it is me. It like, you know, and like someone like me, like I dropped out of high school, and like sometimes I feel like I fell into that, and I embrace it. It makes me feel good, and like my future is something that's overwhelming. It's not like I'm saying I don't believe that there's something more to me than this, right?
Yeah.
But actually that hits deep, you know, because it's like maybe there's more to everybody. That's why I was saying like I feel like you're smart with that, and that's why I was asking your age. It's like it seems like you learned that young though. You know what I mean? Like you're a couple years older than me, and it seems like a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially people in the weed or music world, those are like 2 easier things that people are really trying to make it big off of these days, and they're kind of intertwined. And it's like I always try to tell people, it's like you kind of have to just be cool, work hard, and get lucky. Yeah. And whatever art you do, because that's what you were talking about was art.
Yeah. So I don't do any like real marketing or promotion for my music or anything, but like. If you talk to most rappers in Rhode Island, they'll have heard of me. Like I get
Rapper's
respect
favorite
from
rapper.
I get respect from like professional rappers, you know. So
for
like,
what specifically do you think? Just because you're talented?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just purely on bars.
Right. Oh, cool, cool. Because I know there's so much more to it, like you were saying. Like, because you don't. It sounds like you don't even really do that. You're not like trying to sell something. You're just talking about like bars, lyrics. Like, is that like also like technique, style, all of that, or do you know? Because when people say bars, it's kind of, it could be a lot of different things. It's funny. We're watching the Tupac movie now. He's a good example of like like everything. Like he was an actor for a reason. Like he was like portraying something. He grew up in the Black Panthers where it was like sending a message. Like from the jump, he was like sending messages with his music, Yeah. So do you think that you're kind of still trying to paint that picture with your art, or do you think that you're just like talking strictly bars? Like explain that concept again for people who might, because they hear it, but they don't really know exactly what that means.
Oh man. So it basically, I think I'm a combination of both. So I feel like I came up listening to storytellers in hip hop, Too Short and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I'm writing a song, I have a start, a middle, and an end in mind.
And that's just track wise, like.
Yep. Yeah. And then within that, I figure out just clever ways to work words is one of basically the arts of it. And the other thing is just learning how to use your voice as an instrument. Because like it's such a small box that rap is, like rapping. Mm-hmm. Just
that's what we're talking about, bars, right?
Yeah, speaking rhymes on beat.
Right.
But like within that, you have so much play, Like I can like
it's probably why people like you and me listen to a lot of different types of hip hop.
Yeah.
And I think that we relate on that too.
Yep.
Because you respect that in a way.
Yeah, for real. And it's just working the voice though. Like I tend to do some really silly stuff, but I learned just by practicing in the studio, just getting like super, super high and just like having fun doing stuff that I know we're just going to trash.
Yeah.
But like within that trash, I tried some stuff that actually worked, and now I can bring it into another song and like perfect it.
Right. So that's like more of just like I really like Currency. Obviously, weed rapper type into that, but like it seems like he kind of does that to where you would think that he has the same flow every time, but he puts out so much music. I forgot you're a big Currency fan too. He puts out so much music all the time that's impossible. And I think that like that's goes to what you're saying of it's like it's even if you think you're gonna trash something, as long as you're putting out music all the time, you're growing as an artist and you're like perfecting certain elements of like your art. You can stay in your
own lane, but that lane can be 100 feet wide.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by that? Paint that picture.
So like my music is basically just like weed rap, mostly. But like within that, there's so many different kind of stories I can tell, or I can make like pop kind of tracks with it, or dip into like we do some like rock rap / stuff. But like if you listen to it, you will like instantly tell that's me, or that's my song. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still on brand for what I do, and it's just changing different aspects of it. So it's like you have this one thing, but you're using it in many different ways.
Yeah, I think that just has to come to volume too.
Yeah.
Because you can't just like the way you're explaining it, it's like you can't just do that. You know what I mean? It's like you just keep doing the same thing and you're like a human. So you're as you grow, as you change, as you express your art, it's kind of like it's gonna morph.
Yeah.
Like morphing's like a good term for that. You know what I mean? It's like it's still the same core, but it's like kind of like it's got like little seasonings on it and it's like spices it up. I think that people should give Eminem more credit for that, even though he's getting hated on now. And I don't really like his newer stuff either, but like
have you checked out the newest?
The song he dropped today, Houdini?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I haven't heard it yet.
I liked it. It's better than what he's done. I liked it. And I if he comes out with an album that is like that, then I dig it. Shane Gillis is in the music video too, which is pretty cool. I think you like that. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and it's good. It's funny. It's Eminem. I liked it, but like Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, he changed his voice a lot. He was like storytelling.
Yeah,
but he still like had tracks like specifically on the Slim Shady LP. It was like I forget like brain damage and stuff. Like there's like bars in there, but like he's also like relating to people and telling stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, I was watching the Tupac thing. I always say this all the time about Tupac, why he's my favorite, like probably my favorite musician, is that the song Dear Mama is about his mom smoking crack. And I cry and think about my mom every time I hear that song. She's never smoked crack. Now she was like an alcoholic my whole life and stuff like that. But still, it's like if you're able to put your stuff out there and relate to people, like that's like special art to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that, again, I think what we're talking a lot about is volume, right?
Talking about relating, though. So I only started smoking weed in my mid-20s when I was an adult.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I tried it once in high school, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah?
Let me get my life together first, and then...
Weekend, you're like a very smart guy. No one does this, bro. You gotta realize that. Go on, sorry.
I'm just in my own head a lot.
Go on, dude, go on.
But yeah, so like before that, all my music was... I mean, it was still just about life shit. Like, I only rap about what I know, but all I knew at that time was, like, a couple failed relationships and shit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, like, just, like, a bunch of tracks about women mostly. And I would, like, put that music out and try and get reviews on it. And black people mostly, or, like, hip-hop heads mostly, it'd be like... And this was like around the time like 50 Cent was just getting popular and shit too. A lot of people were like, yo, this is kind of dope, but like rap about some good shit. Why you always rapping about these women?
Yeah.
So then...
Couldn't do that then.
So then
4 years later.
I started smoking weed though. And then I started making weed songs. And that opened so many doors in music for me. Like so many other artists started... just listening. It wasn't like people weren't messing with me because of the music I made, but it just wasn't getting to them. So like the weed kind of put my music in people's pockets.
Interesting. So like that sounds like marketing to me. But you were getting into it.
It's like if you had a baby and that baby did the marketing for you.
I get that. No, I get what you're saying. It's like a part of you, and it's kind of like chance. I think that the biggest thing we're talking about is like just like putting stuff out there. How much do you think people in music, weed, art, like this urban art, are in their own heads all the time and they just don't do anything?
All the time.
They don't do anything. Like, you know what's funny? Like I mean, you're a part of the community we built and stuff. Like, I do all these different things with weed. And I always try to tell people, like, because like if someone's like, I can't sell weed, I'm like, you shouldn't do it, first of all, if you can't sell weed these days.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think so many people are stoners and they're slow and they're like lazy, where you just got to do something more. Like, I've sold other things. I think that's kind of the thing. It's like I've been involved with other things. So, like, how do you, like, if you think you're just going to have weed and sell it to people, like, you're a chump.
Yeah.
You know, like, you got to, like, do something more.
If somebody else is doing it, that means you can do it too.
Right.
You just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and what's like we always say, like, in business, like, underlying magic.
Yeah.
So it's like because there's gonna be competition, and then like what makes you different, but like not even just what makes you different, like it's like what makes you special. And if you're trying to like make money or start a business or any of these types of things, like you have to like know that you're gonna have competition, and like you need to have passion with it. You know?
I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Passion.
And see, and like, you know, we talk about this all the time. Sorry if I'm being a broken record on this pod recently with dispensaries and stuff. They think that they could just like sell weed because people want it, and like they can be accessible, and it's like it's so much more than that. You know, it's like so much. You have to like put like your special sauce on it. You know, you have to like so many people when they would buy weed off me, they ask me what I think I like. And if you don't give them, it's not even about truth. It's about passion.
Yeah.
It's about like, if you have things on your menu that you got just to sell to someone, it's like, that's whack.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to have something on your menu that like you It's like collecting Pokemon cards. Like, why do you like have that thing in your stash? Like, even if like you know me, like I don't even smoke that much hash.
Yeah.
But like I love hash. I love the people who make it. I love the stories of how long it takes to make it and like the smells and like the textures of it. It's like appealing to the eye, let alone smoking it. So that's why I've done well in the hash game.
Yeah.
You know, it's like for me. So it's like I think that so many people try to make it about, as corny as it is, like just making money. There's like something more than that. Like you said, there's like passion that needs to go into it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the passion keeps you trying to be better at what you do. If it's just about the money and you don't care about the weed, you just know people are buying it, so you're going to give it to them, like that is not going to get you far because you're not going to know what to do next, you know?
Right.
You got to be ahead of things. And
Yeah.
you have to like see trends before they come. And if you're not in it like that, then you're not going to know.
Right. And so like what made you want to like pick up doing like this album that you're talking about dropping and like doing it again? Cause you've been kind of like just chilling with it, right?
Yeah, I haven't really put out too much lately. So this album is basically from the last couple years. So it's sort of post-COVID. I put out a song on COVID or like right before or that January that was like super positive. At that point in my life, I actually had just got through like one of the most depressing points in my life and got out of it, made that song. It was awesome. And then just like tried to rebuild myself from there. So like for a little while, I felt like I didn't really have anything more to say. But then as
This is COVID times you're talking about, right?
yeah. But then like probably like 2022 really started working again. And just like it wasn't a thing like, oh, I'm going to make an album or even like, well, I'm going to make some music today. It was just getting up with the homies, you know, just hanging. And then somebody throws on a beat. Somebody pulls out a microphone. And these songs just kind of fell together on a hard drive. We over the period it had like 25, like 30 songs.
You're gonna have to market it and sell it now.
Yeah,
Maybe I can help you with that.
that'd be great.
Fun. Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be great. I don't like marketing.
Yeah, you know I'd have fun with that. And like I was saying off air, like it's funny with your friends that like put out art like that. You want to support them. You know, you support the things that we do. But then you listen, you're like, oh, it's actually good. You know, it's always like that funny thing. It's like, sadly, you like almost think it's like, because I'm going to support it either way. But you're like, oh, it's actually good.
I remember going to the barbershop when I was younger and going with a stack of mixtapes and being like, yo, could I leave these on the counter for people? It's like, put it in first.
And when was that? Like what years?
This was like 2005-ish.
Okay, so that's like real mixtape era.
Yeah.
That's like DJ drama.
I started doing, I did my own mixtape covers too. I was pretty good with GIMP, not Photoshop, but the free version.
Respect.
A lot of Black Samurai. Remember that Samuel Jackson character?
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Sick. I totally, if you know, like you totally know what exactly that looks like.
Yeah. But then I put it on for them and they were like, yo, I'm not going to lie. Like a lot of people do come in here trying to like give me their mixtape and shit, but yours is the first one that's actually good.
Yeah. No, and again, I wonder with just being, you know, like you said, you didn't want it to consume you, right? And it's like sometimes, do you think that to reach certain goals and be successful with these art things, like, do you have to have it consume you? And what does that even really mean? Success goals and
I was
like,
just gonna say that. Yeah, it depends. Cause I'm totally successful with it.
Okay.
But my thinking is, I'm not a performing artist. I'm not a entertainer. I'm simply a musician.
Cool.
And success to me is being able to make music.
Why do you think it's a lot of artists think that there's more to it than that? than your own what means success to you. I catch myself in that. Maybe like as I was telling you downstairs of my art with this, like everything that I'm doing with this weed stuff, like I wonder if I'm like overthinking it and not understanding what the goals really are.
It is a competitive place, though, or it can be as competitive as you want, hip hop, and there are a lot of competitive people.
Sports.
A lot of people that want to be able to like say they have that title. Oh, I'm the best in my state or whatever, you know.
Interesting. I never heard it. I've never heard it be told like that.
But you can exist in the game alongside it. You know,
that's in a lot of different games. You know, too.
Yeah, and I think again, you just gotta find your own lane with it. You know, I know I'm not the best rapper, and I'm not trying to be. I don't rap enough to be the best rapper. So I just stick to what I do.
Right. I just think about that with weed, like obviously biased, like thinking that after you said it. I wonder if people I wonder if we do. I wonder if people, if it's competitive like that with weed, it'd be like, I got the best weed in my state. I do, like, you know what I mean? And like, is that like an all art thing? Or do you think that's strictly hip hop? Because when you know hip hop, it is sports like.
Yeah.
It started off of freestyle battles, right?
I think much more than any other art too. Because like
sports wise of like competition.
Who like competes with paintings? You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I wonder in the weed, why is it like that in the weed world? Is really the question to ask then. I wonder why.
I wonder if it's because like back in the day, back in like super legalization, back before they even knew to separate the male from the female and to get those big juicy nugs. Mm-hmm. I feel like back then it was like a who has the strongest weed.
That's true, and it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, but I think that kind of like still carried over.
Yeah, now it's more of like, I wonder if this is true or not. It's like I wonder what it is. I wonder if it's money. I wonder if it's
clout.
I mean, this is something I always joke on. It's like everyone wants to be the Steve Jobs of weed.
Yeah.
You know, It's like everyone wants to be like the first. And like we live in such a microwave era of content where it's like everyone wants to be the fucking first of everything. They want to like show off.
Right. Especially with social media, how it's just instant. You're all over the world.
And I think that's something we touched on was like, what are like your goals? What is success to you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. Success to me is just being able to make music. Goals are, I have a studio in my house that I work in. My goal is to keep that and keep working. You know, I don't ever picture myself like signing a major deal or doing tours or anything like that. But one of the things that keeps me going is I have so many other friends that are doing it, and I know I have a skill that can help them out. So I know that there are a lot of people that heard my homie's beats only because they wanted to hear my rhymes, you know? So now I'm helping him get an audience, you know? I got a friend who's doing a show this summer. He's putting something on. And I think the plan is I'm going to pull up and do a little something in, like, just trying to help him out, you know? Like,
you put some things in perspective, though, for me, man, of, like, because us in the weed world, we forget... We don't, like, I come on here a lot with different people who are, like, living off selling weed. And we always talk about, like, me and Trav from Lobster Fan, we'll always talk about what we sacrifice, like a normal life.
Yeah.
But, like, it's our choice. And, like, I think sometimes, like you said, like, your goals of your craft is, like, you want to just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And for us, I feel like we should think more of, like, we'd be lucky that we're doing this for a living. Yeah. And we don't have to like worry as much to like go to jail or, you know, because a lot of us, man, like this is our lives. Like we talked about in the beginning of this, like, sometimes I like trip on why is this my life? You know, we all have our journeys, you know, to here in our lives, but sometimes it's like, is this like everything that I wanted? Is it, Is it just me trying to get to certain goals in business or clout? Or do I really like... What I've taken is, through my hardships, I've learned that if I sell weed, it brings me happiness because I get to network with a lot of different types of people. And what I've noticed is when I am having people come together at a spot with weed, it seems to be positive. It seems to be like certain people becoming friendly. I know I've seen you and Ian and Vianza become close friends. Like I literally see it happen. And that's something that I've like articulated within myself to like something that I might be a purpose for me. And I think you've put in perspective for me, like I'm going to really try. Oh, damn, it stopped. What up? Breakfast Connections blunts here. You see them here. I'm smoking the cat piss one right now. Futurola hemp cones. I've been smoking blunts for 15 years. I love blunts. I put dank in Dutches every day. I wanted to put a product out in the legal market that was a piece of me. That's something that I like, and also like my people who are buying, like I said, buying eighths, popping up a tube to smoke a blunt when they're golfing, hanging out with their buds, don't have time to roll. The people who work in those office jobs, nurses, accountants, people who just come home, they don't want to roll, they just want to pop it open, get a good effect, a good burn. The thing about these is they're packed by hand by our homies Revert up in Saratoga Springs in New York. This is legal in the New York market. You can get them in, I think, 5 dispensaries now that we're in New York, and we'll list them here. Royal Flower, Northern Lights Dispensary, Upstate Canico, Legacy Dispensary. I think those are the ones we're in right now. We have a couple more coming online down towards Poughkeepsie and White Plains and that whole area. We're going to be getting into the city soon. Like I said, this is dank flower from Revert, hand stuffed in a Futurola hemp cone. I would never put a blunt out on the market that I didn't like. I've been putting good weed in Dutches my whole life. This is good. It's affordable. It's just flower in a blunt, not like all those other brands that have keef and hash and it's like $40, just 1 gram in a blunt. It gets you where you need to be, gets you stoned. It tastes good. It just checks all the boxes, and we wanted to make it affordable for the everyday end consumer, which is what we do on this podcast. That's what I know this is an interruption on this podcast, talking to a nice guest, someone who's in the community, building the bridge between the end consumer, smoking these blunts. Best way to support Breakfast Connections, Rosin Press Pod. Like, review, subscribe, comment, and buy some of these blunts when you're out in New York. My New Yorkers, we're just getting out there fresh and new. We've been getting great reviews on these things. We appreciate your support. I'll spark one of these up right now. That lighter doesn't work. That's embarrassing. Like I said, it burns nice. This is the cat piss right here. It's funny, like out in New York, hearing people. It's a legendary strain. I got it for effects. Knocks you out. Tastes good. Dank. Fumey. People are like, cat piss? I'm like, yeah. Get cultured. These things burn nice. No canoe. Tastes good. Get you high. Affordable. Check us out at these dispensaries you see below. Breakfast Connections, Rosin Press Pod. Moving forward. We love you. Thanks for all the support. Now back to this episode. There it is. So this is the first one. We're giving out the full hour for our people.
Yay.
But we were saying, like, purpose in our crafts and like what our goals are, and something I've like learned for myself is like we should just be happy that we're like even doing this, man. Like,
yeah.
Think of how much has changed in the cannabis world.
A lot of people didn't make it.
Right. And I'm talking to people every day of people who are still not making it.
Right.
Someone told me today, who I respect in this industry, was like, all you need to do over the next couple of years with this election and Schedule 3 stuff is just fucking pay the bills, dude.
Yeah.
And like, you don't need to have another job. Just stay afloat, and like, who knows what's gonna happen. And I think that that's true.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, how long you been smoking weed for again? You said.
Oh, it's like 10 years now. Started when I was 25.
Did you ever sell it in weed? Don't worry,
I
dude.
say
Statute
no.
of limitations. Dude,
I
you'll
say
be fine.
no because I only slung ounces like one summer.
That's selling weed. Don't get it twisted, dude.
Yeah,
That's
and it was
selling
so
weed,
I could
yes.
smoke for free that summer.
You could pick up selling weed right now and do well. That's what we talk about on this podcast all the time. It's like if you sold weed to smoke weed for free, you're the best at it. Because you're gonna get the best. I would always want to buy weed from that person. You're gonna get the best weed because that's what you would smoke. Just like I said, a lot of people who can't sell weed well, they don't understand. Like, people are gonna understand that you're trying to sell them shit.
Yep.
Just get the shit that you like. And you could tell them a story about why you like it, because you like it. That's just that simple, you know? I don't know.
And then again with the passion, though, even though it's a strain that people like, you got to learn how to grow it.
That's a whole nother fucking game, dog. And that's, like, I can't believe there's so much good weed out there. Knowing how hard it is to grow weed,
especially
I can't
in Rhode
believe
Island.
it. Yeah, in this little fucking state. Why do you think that is? You're from Rhode Island, so you tell me, dog.
I know.
Tell me.
It's because there's so many empty warehouses and buildings and shit in Rhode Island.
I love the
Pawtucket, Providence,
the
Warwick.
simpleness you're bringing to it. You're just like, real estate, dude.
Seriously, and then so it's that in combination with the way they did the medical program at first, like people just collected caregiver cards.
And it was early, right? It was like early on medical.
Yep. So then you'd have one dude who already owns a warehouse, and he's got now like 30 caregiver cards or whatever, so he can just fill the fuck out of the warehouse.
Yeah.
So then we've had all of those people growing all of that weed for so long. Well, relatively long now.
5-7 years.
Yeah. So I feel like just people know what they're doing.
Even longer than that, I feel like now, like 10-15 years almost. Because when could you first get a medical card in Rhode Island?
Early 2000. Late
5?
90s or early
No.
2000s?
Are you serious?
No, that was California.
Yeah. I think it was like 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little after.
2010 or 11 was when I got my California card.
Oh, see, that was the thing too. Is when I moved out there in 2010, you just get a card, and you could just that was such a thing
They were
to
like
do.
$50.
Even if you didn't live there, you could just get one.
Yep.
What was your ailment, dude?
I
had back pain.
think I
back.
Insomnia.
Yeah, classic.
Anxiety.
Yeah,
Yeah.
classic.
Well, so I mean that's the main reason I do smoke weed actually is insomnia and anxiety. So like if I don't smoke all day every day, I get like super stomach aches, sweating a lot, uncomfortable, and then I literally only get 2 hours of sleep a night.
Did you learn that from smoking weed recreationally, stopping and going back and forth and being like, oh, this is more than just a recreational?
No, this was my life before smoking weed. And then I started smoking, and I was like, holy
this helps
shit.
type of thing?
Yeah. Like, I thought that was just life. Like, I thought I just had to deal with all of those, physical manifestations of anxiety.
Right. And, I have to, remind myself that I use cannabis for medical reasons. And I don't know if that's just, my own personal issues or that I have so much of it all the time and that I have, that I'm in the industry and I have to, remember it because it is business and it is, my life. Sometimes because I'd be like, damn, I forget that, I could use this weed. I remember I was, in a really bad spot, a month ago, just, stressing out about stuff. And don't worry, I didn't do it. I've never have. But, I was talking to Joshy. I was like, man, this is, the first time in my life where I was like, it'd be nice to just take a pill and problems go away, which is a scary thing for a friend to say.
Yeah,
but he was just and we were sitting in front of my dad bar at my place that I own, and he's like, dude, you could just take a dab. And I'm telling you, like, we all do this.
Yeah.
Like, we do this for what you're saying. Like, oh. And I just started dabbing a little bit more then. And I was like, oh, you could, like, be in this, especially, like, you know, vaping hash and stuff. It seems like that concentrated organic form is very much like it ails you quickly. It's like it's relief, right?
Yep.
And like even me, like I had to go through that and see it. So like I wonder if that's like an education thing or
yeah, man. So the cruise I actually went on recently or a few months ago, a couple of times I had like a actual panic attack. There was one time we were at like the Mexican restaurant or whatever, but like it was like right on the boardwalk area of the ship. So there was like ton of lights, loud music, ton of shit going on. It was just like way overstimulating for me. And at first I didn't really notice it. My heart kind of starts to race. But I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm just like out in public. And then I start to sweat. And I'm like, oh.
When that shit becomes physical, it's scary.
Once the sweating starts, the passing out is soon to come.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had a ton of vape pens on me. So I was just like sitting in this restaurant fucking chugging a vape.
And it worked?
Yeah, it
Cool.
worked. It took like half the vape, but
That's cool.
yeah.
But it's like you said, it just takes that, and it's a fucking plant.
Otherwise, I would be on benzos, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about the Schedule 3 thing?
Stupid.
What do you know about it?
I know that nobody's getting out of prison.
Very good point. That's the first thing that everyone should think about, which they won't because this fucking world is run by media, and they don't fucking talk about it.
I know.
People
I
are still going to jail for weed right now. I will keep saying that to this fucking camera. It's not that much different. Kind of is, but it isn't. For real, if you get caught with too much weed, if you're selling weed, you're going to jail, dude.
Yeah.
But go on. Sorry.
It's dumb.
Yeah. But like I mean, I just think that so much could happen. That's why my buddy was telling me that. My peer I was telling you about, he's like, none of us know. None of us know. The federal government now could go to everybody and shut them down. I'm talking about everybody.
So I was watching
Everybody.
I was watching a podcast earlier today, and somebody brought up a good point. What if somebody were to try and get alcohol to be legal these days? Like, say alcohol was never a thing, kind of like weed, and like now all of a sudden weed's legal. What if they were trying to do that with alcohol? Like, how would that happen nowadays? I don't
You can
think
just
that
go back in history. The most important word you said was nowadays.
Yeah.
Because they did that. They did that.
Yeah.
You could make a case that they're doing the same thing now. It's just 100 years later. I think it was 1923 was when they prohibition.
Yeah.
It's 100 years. So, and go back to history. What happened? You know, they made it illegal. It was a lot of corrupt politics, mostly from the Republican Party. And there were people in politics who were selling booze, who then if you look at it, there were people who were selling medical grade alcohol because it was like just like weed.
Right.
And they would get it medically. And they were able to backdoor it to the speakeasies in different major cities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can make the case that right now that's going on, and it's just 100 years later, and it's a different, more liberal world, I'd say.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up because I say the term liberal, and it's like that should be more about releasing people from jail, which they're not. They're more about giving opportunities to underprivileged people in the communities where the drugs were affecting them. Mm-hmm. But like those are just words.
Yeah.
Like we're in New York selling products, and like New York's actually pretty good when it comes to what we're talking about. They give opportunities because you can't just give opportunities. They just make it affordable.
Yeah.
And they have resources for them, which is a lot. Again, a lot of states say that they're doing shit like that. They're not.
Nope.
New York's like the only one.
Yeah.
So I think is the next 2 years are very important. We're in an election year. Any OG hustler will tell you don't work during election years because of this shit. So you don't really know what's going to happen. The Schedule 3 thing is crazy because like if the certain people are in office, this is going to take over a year to like implement, and maybe they just make a task force and go after everyone and make it illegal, basically.
Oh, okay.
Everyone. They changed the game because that's what they did 100 years ago. They just made it illegal. And then there were people that were running the medical side of it, and they were just corrupt.
Yeah.
So much times you could look back at history and it just repeats itself. Again, but having said that, I don't know. That'd be pretty crazy if what I just told you happens. Like, that would be pretty crazy. It'd be pretty
that would be
out
wild.
there. It'd be pretty too much.
I wouldn't like it. No, thank you.
But are you one of those people that like? Because Mike from Pine Tree, as you sure talk, he's very much like. That's just because you trust the government. Like, that could just happen.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, it'd be crazy for me to see them go after everyone like that who are legit.
Yeah, but like you said, it wouldn't be unprecedented.
No, it wouldn't be that shocking.
Yeah.
See, that's the federal government has a lot of power, and that they just turned it into a Schedule 3, so like they could just implement that power tomorrow and just go backwards. But that would be so wild if they went backwards on this stuff. Just talking politics and stuff, like, that'd be so wild. But I don't know shit about politics.
Me either.
So we're just like consumers and hustlers of weed and entertainment and like product, right? And, doing these sessions downstairs and bringing people together through weed. I don't know. Maybe that goes back to what you said about what your goals and intentions are.
Yeah.
Because, it's gotten easier, right? Selling weed and being creative in the weed space. And to think that it's going to go backwards from that, if you're like smart enough to be creative and make enough money to support your family off of passion, just like hip hop and art like that. What everything else isn't up to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sometimes I think the moral of all of this, of everything we talked about, was like, if you have passion for it, just put it out, and do it. Something I've been trying to tell people is, you got to really know what you want. Think about all the people who are getting in the weed space or hip hop, and they're just like doing it because, I don't know, they want to be cool or whatever. It's like,
it could be tough to figure out what you actually want to get out of something too, though. Because I feel like a lot of people might go into something with just like a picture in their head of what they think they're going to get or what they think they want. But when they get it, or when they see what it takes to get and maintain, then they realize that that's not really what they want.
Yeah. And how do you pivot from that is important.
Yeah.
So, but this is sick, dude. This is sweet having you on.
Yeah, this was fun.
It'd be taco night.
Yeah.
You didn't bring your burrito. So you get to like eat the tacos, not cook the tacos.
I have a taco shirt on, though.
That's sick. 420kingston.com. Join the club. Be a part of the community. We love y'all.
Love
Peace.
you.
That was sick, bro.
That was fun.